Hello and good morning, everyone. So, thank you for accepting our invite for this webinar, which is what we call Demystifying DaaS. So, today, Jason and Joe will not be with me today. However, I've got Dave Adams from HP. So, he is the HPNZ DaaS and Services Executive, um, and he'll be giving us some wisdom today on how we're going to demystify DaaS. So, for everyone who is new to DaaS, let us define what HP DaaS is. So, I've got this slide for you, which will show how DaaS will help you and your business as well, and for your customers especially. So, it will help you choose the right devices for the right job. So, any hardware, whether even the accessories as well. You can include it as part of this. And of course, the management with Insight with the help of TechPulse, which is the analytics software that we use for this. And it will give flexibility for your business as well with the different plans that we have. So it's not mainly for like customers who've got more than 10 seats. So we can see and help you. You just need to contact us if you need anything. So I've mentioned the right devices for the right job. And with that, how can HP Desk partner with you and your customer? So how will you know what is right for you, for your business or your customer's business as well? So it doesn't matter how big or small your business is. We can see how we can be of help and how DaaS will fit in to your environment. And I've mentioned earlier about TechPulse. So this is the analytics software which we use to know the performance of your devices, and it also gives you a report, a proactive report or a business case to know which devices will work for your customers as well. And what are the three components that support proactive model for that? So it mitigates security risk. So we've got reporting enhancement as well, and proactive security protection. So here is an example TechPulse dashboard that we've got. So here's what you could see. It's showing a little bit small. However, we will be sending this copy of the presentation for you, and just giving you a run through on what you could see inside the TechPulse. As you can see, we've got different analytics that's showing in there, including CPU and memory utilization, battery replacement summary, and CPU performance as well. Yeah, so for this part of the slide, I will hand it over to Dave.
Thanks, Christine.
Yep.
So the analytics gives a lot of detail around the health and performance of the device. The slide we have here is showing some of the issues that we typically see with some of our devices out in the market. As you can see in there, it's about optimizing and managing the security as well as the analysis around the security elements that are utilization of the devices as well. So the red that you see on screen, we can click into that and it gives us more detail around the hard drive. What are the issues with the hard drive, or is it just filling up with data? But it gives us the ability to view and see how the device is performing to do something proactively about it. Again, with CPU utilization, you see there, 25% is being overutilized. So obviously those people need a device that is more powerful to support the business and the applications that they're running. So either moving the devices around within their business, some of the other more powerful ones, giving them to those users, or we replace those devices with something that's more powerful. Again, the security component is really about making sure that the policies that are within the business are being conformed to. So if there are changes in security, then TechPulse will alert the business or the organisation that's supporting that customer to do something proactively around the security change that's occurred. So, for example, BitLocker may have been turned off. You'd want to understand why that's happened, or antivirus or firewall's been turned off. You want to understand why that's happened and how you could restart to maintain the level of security that you would want to maintain within that endpoint. So if we jump to the next slide. So because we capture all of the information around the physical componentry that's in the device, we're able to determine whether it will run Windows 10. So we have customers who have bought devices based on a fixed configuration with a standard operating environment, with a standard build that they've used, and they've bought the same configuration for a number of years. That might have been up until sort of 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, when they've changed to a new model, and they may expect that those devices that are, getting to be reasonably old in terms of their fleet today, they're expecting that they would be able to run Windows 10 on some or all of those. That may not be the case because they're running an older generation CPU, or they've got chipsets which won't support Windows 10. So we can run that on any brand of device as long as it runs Windows 7 or Windows 8. We'll be able to determine whether that can be supported on Windows 10, or whether there are any current issues with those devices that they might be using in their business or out in the field. So it brings a lot of intuitive value to many organisations, especially those that have a significant number of devices that they may need to refresh, or they just want to upgrade to Windows 10.
Thank you very much for that, Dave. And in terms of supporting other brands of devices, it says in there that Dell and Lenovo will be in here. Will Apple support it as well?
So the TechPulse Analytics can run on any device that will run Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10, as well as Android, iOS, and Mac OS X. So it's not just specifically for an HP device. It's an analytic that can provide a lot of information to an organization around the majority of devices that they have within their fleet. So they may have some Apple, some devices running Mac OS X in their marketing or creative department that you want to be able to manage from a holistic view across their environment. And we can include that in as part of the TechPulse Analytic platform.
Okay, and it doesn't only limit on notebooks, but also for mobile devices or tablets?
Yeah, it'll run on any device, whether it's a desktop, laptop, or a tablet, or a phone that runs Windows 7, 8, or 10, Android, iOS, or Mac OS X.
So we'll go now in terms of security, since it's a top priority as well. So it will be good if we can discuss as well how security works with DaaS and device management as well.
Okay. So from a security perspective, we cover, so the way that TechPulse works is that when it lands on the device, when you start it up, it goes and looks at all of the hardware, it looks at the BIOS, looks at the operating system, and it looks at the software stack. And then it sits in the background and looks for changes to events and logs. So, for example, antivirus, firewall, encryption, if they're all turned on, they're in a known performance state for being turned on. If there's a change, we pick that up as an event, and we can create an incident based on that change within the TechPulse platform and present that through the dashboard to the business, or to a managed service provider, or a service management platform that we can integrate with. So we have now a full integration to any service management, any ITSM package that will support OAuth 2, so OAuth 2 is security and a RESTful API. So we can create an incident in our dashboard and then present it to the service management platform for someone to take action on. So if there is a change, we can pick it up as an incident, flag it up into the dashboard and into the service management, and then someone needs to take action to resolve that issue, or it becomes a service management issue rather than an unknown that occurred at some point. So the platform sits on AWS. We conform to the highest level of security in AWS. They're independently audited on a regular basis by KPMG, and we meet ISO 27001 standards and GDPR standards out of Europe, which are the highest privacy standards that apply worldwide. As also within the TechPulse dashboard, we can monitor all of the Sure capabilities that you would get with an HP device. So Sure Start from BIOS remediation, making sure it's got a good clean copy of the BIOS. Sure Click from an application isolation perspective. Sure View, the privacy screen. Sure Recover to recover the device back to its original state from a standard build or from the cloud. And we can monitor the multi-factor authentications to make sure that they're working correctly. So one of the real key things is that we engineer, if you go to the next slide, Christine, we engineer all of that into our devices. So Sure Recover, Sure View, Sure Run, and Sure Start are engineered into our devices from factory. And we put into the layered defense model that typically an organization would deploy. So above that resilient hardware layer, number one, we have a traditional antivirus product. So it could be Defender or McAfee, Sophos, Spank, Micro, etc. And then we have a new technology that we've acquired out of a company called Bromium, and that's SureClick and SureClick Advanced. And that capability provides a full application isolation in a micro virtual machine, which takes any active content that comes into the device, whether it comes from a web browser or an email or an attachment or from a USB stick that you've picked up in the car park. It'll say, I'm going to isolate this content off to one side inside of a micro VM, and you can actually watch malware execute on screen, capture all of the telemetry relating to that malware or the virus, and have it and drop it without any effect to your device at all. That's a unique security advantage and a unique security solution which we've acquired, and we can take the information and present it back into our TechPulse analytics dashboard as well. And again, create an API to present that to a service management to say this is the event and what's occurred. But it's all about capturing the information to present back to the business to be able to do something proactive in terms of supporting it. The last one is our SureSense AI tool based in the cloud, which does some analysis around malware as well. So anything that looks strange, that has a client that sits on the device also, and that can look and see this looks like something destructive or it's making a change which is unauthorized. I'm going to prevent that from happening, and we can manage that SureSense. And we have a new SureSense Advanced capability coming out soon.
So for this security feature, so it would depend as well on what type of plan they've got with DaaS.
So the security components can be part of a standard offering, or they can be added in a number of different ways. So we're still working through the presentation of the telemetry related to any malware that we see, and that could be inside of TechPulse, the TechPulse platform and the analytics, or it could be out to a security incident and event management, a SIEM engine, or a security operations center. So we're working through how we do that with small and large organizations, or in a multi managed service provider layer as well. So look for more information in coming months around the additional value we can bring to the reseller community and the managed service provider community.
Okay, thank you very much for that information. So now let's show our audience today regarding the different plans that they can go into.
So we see a lot of people, so there's some confusion around the various plans that are there. The main differences that we see for the device as a service plans, the standard plan covers pretty much everything that you would need to manage from a Windows and device management perspective. The enhanced and the premium plans effectively add in a technical account manager that is based outside of HP New Zealand, and I'm looking to see if we can bring someone into, or build a team in New Zealand to bring those capabilities local. But it also adds in additional functionality around security and policy enforcement. It's effectively a HP person acting on behalf of the partner or the customer to achieve a proactive support model. The premium plan adds in effectively the application deployment or removal using Intune or Workspace ONE as the modern management tools to deliver applications and patch upgrades and the typical features that you would get out of a managed service environment. We're seeing most people work with the standard plan, and then from a reseller perspective, taking that standard plan and integrating it into their businesses and providing that as a service value back to the customer that you're working with. So the layer effectively providing the device, laptop, desktop, any peripherals, screens, keyboards, docks, mice, bags, all under a price model with support and TechPulse analytics built in, which presents the TechPulse detail back to the dashboard with the reseller or into a service management environment with the reseller to be able to provide a proactive support model to the customer. So we're adding additional features and functionality to this every 6 months. So we're doing upgrades to the platform, the TechPulse platform, twice a year, and we're typically seeing those in the September, October, and February, March timeframes. So we have a new release coming out in February, March. We've just been through one with September, at the end of September, early October, where we brought in a lot more capability for a managed service provider to drill down deeper into the devices that are within a customer's environment. Still needs to be authorized by the customer for the managed service provider to see the devices, so they can either be brought on from an invite perspective or from a request perspective from the managed service provider. So, Christine, you're going to say?
Yes, I'm just wondering if a customer got something, for example, they've got their own service platform, can they just integrate DaaS, TechPulse with it?
So effectively, if you've got a typical service management platform like a Kaseya or a Heat, as long as they have integration, if they can integrate with a RESTful API and OAuth 2 from a security perspective, we can integrate the TechPulse dashboard to that platform. So I know that in the past, ConnectWise didn't have that, and we're working with ConnectWise globally out of our head offices to add that feature to be able to provide the additional value that those organisations would get from the integration component. If you're looking at ServiceNow, which we typically see in the large enterprise sector, there would be a cost from ServiceNow for a license to connect to the platform. And we do some integration with ServiceNow in terms of matching the tables out of the TechPulse platform database and mapping them to the right tables that you would see inside of a ServiceNow environment.
So it's really a good tool for them to have best of both worlds. So if they're using their service platform now, so DaaS is an add-on for it. So for those that doesn't show the report on what they're using now, it's showing on DaaS, so they can see both of them now.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Dave. And now let's discuss on the different types of report that they can see in different plans.
So so really the plans, the standard plan, this outlines all of the typical incidents that we would see and some of the analytics around, for example, mobility factors or hardware health. In hardware health, we will get more information from an HP manufactured device than we will from another brand, because typically our software, we know the electronics within our own products, and we're able to use that software to get more details. So there are slight enhancements, for example, battery health and thermals, some of the other HP chipset advantages that we have, where the software can give more detail back into the platform around their HP unique devices. We're seeing more information from Apple as well in terms of the devices being what we're able to see out of the device. For example, the hardware health and the hardware inventory, any non-reporting components that are there, or non-reporting devices, if they're if they're not reporting back to the dashboard, we can say that they're stolen or they've gone missing. So the enhanced and the premium plans add in more capability, and we're actually updating this again in the early new year. We'll be adding in a bit more security and lost device protection into the standard plan coming up. So there's a continual enhancement and addition of new capabilities being delivered out of every software iteration that we're going through. So this picture slide shows the typical stuff that we would see in terms of being able to present something back to an organisation or a customer today.
Information out there, because if they have a customer, let's say with Microsoft at the moment, that they want to change to HP, so they can just get the TechPulse analytics maybe for a year or two, and then check whatever the performance of the devices, and then work from there.
So we see customers that they'll run a proof of concept or an evaluation for 30, 60 or 90 days on the TechPulse analytics. They get a view of the current environment and the current state of the device fleet they have, and then they take that information and they can identify the first tranche of devices that they might need to replace because they're having particular hardware or health errors or software errors that they need to do something about. So we can take that information, and it's really giving them a lot of insight in terms of the management of what they have today, but also it gives them a perspective of how those devices are performing to support the workload that the users are performing on those devices. So is that device meeting the requirements of the business to support that user and present the right outcomes back to the business again? So it's very much about that getting the right device for the job discussion, where you can use the analytics to determine the workload and then define the right device to replace that, especially if it's an old device where that's underperforming. Or it's a device that's too highly spec'd. It might be a device, we get questions where customers go, I need an i7 with 32 gigs of memory because I run big spreadsheets, when realistically an i5 with 32 gigs of memory would achieve the same task. It's nothing to do with the CPU, it's more about the memory and how it's utilized in the device and the application utilization and how it's driven. So the analytics will give you that insight in terms of defining, what is the right device to support that workload.
And one of the feedback as well from one of the resellers that I got, so they really like the feature of the software inventory. So at least if they're subscribed or there are licenses on those software, so they'll know who maximizes the use of it, and it can save them a lot of money as well.
Yes, so we're adding in software utilization, so we can actually determine, from the report say that this application was used for this number of hours by this device within the device fleet. So you might, so if it's used for 1 hour a month, is it really worthwhile being installed on that device and reported as a license when someone could use that? You could use it in a different way, in a different consumption model. So it's giving some real insight into the utilization of devices within many organizations.
Good one. Thank you very much for those insights, Dave. And hopefully you've learned a lot from this slides that we've got for you. So all of this will be sent out soon as well, so you can review it at your own pace. Yeah, and how Exceed and HP are here to partner with you and your customers. So Dave mentioned earlier that we've got some trial options as well. However, if you just want to have a look and feel on how the TechPulse will give you those reporting and dashboard, so we've got a demo logins for you. So you just have to go to this link and then use the logins which are provided. So if you've got any question around it, please feel free to contact us as well. And regarding the 90-day evaluation program. So if you would like to trial it internally, and of course it will be good to have a first-hand experience on that before you preach it to your customer. So let us know as well. We're more than happy to assist you on this one. Yeah, so here are the reasons why you choose HP DaaS device as a service. So of course it decreases IT's workload and improve end user productivity and gain insight. And of course, as Dave discussed earlier, it strengthens your security profile and achieve predictable costs through through the analytics. And of course, optimize your IT spend across hardware and software. So now we've got some questions for Dave, which we gathered from some customers that we've met and who emailed us as well, regarding some things that they want to know more about DaaS. So here is the first batch of questions. So how will DaaS work in a Citrix environment? And will TechPulse give reminders for software updates? And lastly, will TechPulse work on thin clients?
We've had a number of people ask about thin client, Citrix VDI, virtual presentation of desktops to devices. The DaaS, so device as a service from a provisioning of a device or the supply of a device, we can provide a consumption model for the Citrix endpoint, so the virtual desktop, the thin client end. From a perspective of TechPulse, when you run the TechPulse analytics, it runs on the guest operating system, or it'll run on a Windows 10 IoT client piece. So where we have a thin client that runs Windows 10 IoT, yes, we can run a TechPulse analytic on it, and it'll look at the health and the performance of that specific thin client. And when it comes to the guest operating system, which is being hosted on a server, you could run the analytics, but in terms of the value that it will give you from a health and performance perspective, it'll be fairly generic to the server platform that it's on. It'll provide some details around the performance of the applications that are running within that guest operating system, which may or may not be of real value to an organization. But we're seeing a strong trend in the market around moving away from thin clients and virtual presentation to a fat client or a mobility client, where we're seeing a device provide more capability to the end user on a more interactive basis. So we could present a Windows 10 running Microsoft or Office 365, and then running some thin client apps and being able to use TechPulse to help manage that endpoint device. So you could, it really comes down to horses for courses effectively when you want to run TechPulse across a thin client environment. And we would talk to you about what you're really trying to achieve in that environment and whether TechPulse would be a good fit or not. So please reach out to Christine and the team, and we will work on a business case model which might support what you're looking for. So these are the TechPulse APIs. We have just recently released this. So we have a device and analytics API which can be presented to a dashboard like Power BI or Tableau to be able to get trends and analysis around what's happening within the environment, and be able to get a wider view of what things look like. So you could see what's the BIOS inventory across my fleet. Some look like they're out of date, some are recent, or some are within their compliance in terms of being supported. The Incidents API is really about the integration to your service management platform to be able to create a ticket that someone can proactively do something about. So, for example, blue screen errors. If the device crashes, has a blue screen, we capture the information around that blue screen. So we capture the interrupt request, the error code, the driver, and all the relative details that are needed to be able to do an assessment as to whether what the issue is, to proactively then look at resolving it. And typically, most times when someone gets a blue screen, they just reboot their device and continue on, and the business never actually knows what the issue was and what occurred. So there's a lot of value in terms of integrating that to TechPulse, to a service management platform, or to a visualization and business tool like via Power BI or Tableau, to be able to give a real perspective of what things look like. So we've got some more questions,
Yep.
I understand.
Yes, more. We've got the second batch of questions.
Yep.
So how will TechPulse be loaded for Apple and Android devices, for example, tablets?
Okay.
And next is for autopilot for standard DaaS subscription. Can this be part of the package? And what kind of data is being collected by HP on DaaS?
Okay, so TechPulse will be loaded for Apple and Android, and I guess for Mac OS X as well. The hpdaas.com/software provides you the client software that would need to be loaded onto the Apple and Android devices. Within you subscribe to DaaS, and you get the onboarding email for TechPulse. It provides you with a full set of documentation about how to install and load the client software, either in an automated fashion using Intune or Workspace ONE, or SCCM for deployment tools, any sort of deployment methodology, or a manual, or a pre-subscribed, or using a PIN code as part of a scripted install. So you could either, for example, on the Apple and Android devices within a business, if you have a modern management tool, you could use that to push the client out to the Apple and Android or Mac OS X client, or you would go through a deployment, or a manual deployment, or scripted deployment into those devices. So the variety of ways of loading it up, but we'll all achieve the same outcome. Now, Autopilot is a Microsoft capability. Autopilot is for pre-subscribing a device to Azure AD or a hybrid Azure AD, to ensure that when the device lands, it's been ordered and lands at the customer site, it's automatically subscribed to their environment, and you can use that Autopilot to integrate with Intune and Workspace ONE and modern management tools to push the applications down and data onto the device. So very much a modern approach, rather than using a standard operating build or an SOE image that you would put onto a device before you send to the customer. And this is really where the modern approach of managing devices.
We've got a slide for it.
Yes, we have a slide. Yes, so their end-to-end out-of-box experience with automation really is about utilizing the Windows Autopilot component to pre-subscribe any device that is going to the customer's environment, and then our user experience manager being Intune or Autopilot, Intune or Workspace ONE or other modern tools, with a cloud identity to identify that individual user as the person who is logging into that device and has met the requirements for having all of the applications and data delivered. We can do an automated enrollment into the analytics, and then through the APIs that we showed earlier, integrate that to ServiceNow or Remedy or other IT service management platforms. From there, we can extract into a customer CMDB, or we can take the information from the management platform, update asset information, software registers, manage tickets at your service desk, and maintain catalogs around devices and how they're being utilized. And from a management perspective, pull out information and match it to the service level agreements that you have with in place with customers as well. So all the customer pulls it out and checks it out on you as the resellers and service providers to ensure that everything's meeting the KPIs that you've agreed in your documentation. So this really is about a modern approach to the management of devices in real time, with an automated process for provisioning, deployment, and management. So being able to walk up and replace an old device with a new one becomes very, very simple and very easy. Pre-subscribe the device with autopilot, log in, and all of the information and application comes to the device, and you walk away with the old one, hand it back to HP, or we take it through a security wipe process and take it through our sustainable reuse model where it gets either broken down or reused. So really, this is where everybody is heading in terms of a modern management and automated approach to the provisioning of devices. And the other question was around the data that's collected on the devices. So we collect virus, firewall, security settings, location. Location is turned off by default. So some of our customers have said, why does HP want to know where our device is? Actually, we don't want to know, but you probably do. So, or the customer might probably want to know where the device is. And we can turn that feature on just by clicking a box. When was it last seen? Warranty. So there's some limited capabilities of warranty. So if it's an HP device, we take the unique ID and serial number of the device, match it against our database to say yes, it's in support, or for those devices that, for example, we put into an eval or a proof of concept environment, we might identify some that are out of support or out of warranty and either need to add a care pack or to be replaced with a new device. So we can also upload information into the database, into the TechPulse platform database around some of the other brands of products that might be there. Smart battery health, really we can only pull that out of HP devices because we can query the HP electronics that are related to the battery. Hard disk health, we can review the performance and health of those devices, any available disk storage and hardware operating system. We're actually adding in things like BIOS and driver capability, so there's a lot more coming in terms of being able to view what's collected. But the key thing that you need to think about is when a customer says, what data are we taking? We're actually not taking any customer or any personal data from the device. What we're collecting is telemetry and statistics around the utilization of the device. So things like what's the version of the operating system? What branch of the operating system? So are we running Windows 10, 1805 or 1903, and what branch of 1805 are we running that's might have some critical updates, and we can present that back to the organization. And we can also look at so BIOS updates. We can look at the drivers that are in the device and be able to say these ones are out of date and need to be updated because there are some critical updates that need to be applied for security purposes or performance purposes within the device. So all of that's really critical information for an organization to understand, to be able to proactively support the device and make sure that it will work in the future to support their business.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, for clearing that out as well for customers online. And I just have questions. So this information, so you've mentioned that they just need to tick the box so they can untick it anytime.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And will it cover as well, even if the user is away from New Zealand?
Yeah, so because this is certainly TechPulse platform sits on AWS, as long as the device has connectivity to the internet, we can pick up any issues with the device on a worldwide basis. So, for example, if you have people that travel into Asia or to Europe or US or even Australia, as long as the device connects to the internet at some point, the information will get uploaded into the dashboard and can be seen by the IT management team or by the managed service provider that's managing the device fleet for that customer.
Thank you very much. So we'll go now to the next batch of questions. I think this one is more on the coding and contract side.
Yep.
So can the reseller get invoiced monthly based on subscription? Where can they get a CSV file that can extract to bill the customer? And what is the minimum amount for DaaS? So to start with, and does HP offer a trial option to test if it's something to be considered? So think the last question we've already shown a slide around it earlier. So the answer that we've got on the first one, it can be done. However, you need to let us know as well. And if the reseller is happy to take on the contract, that's something that we could review. So just contact us regarding that. So regarding the minimum amount for DaaS, so that will be the next part that we're going to discuss. So I've got this actually from Dave before. If it appreciate, buy it. If it depreciate, lease it. So, and this is the part where we're going to transition from buying devices through capital expense. So we're trying to divert now to OPEX. For those resellers who got an experience with managed print and subscribe with as well for HPE, or have tried to lease some devices, so you might see a similar quote on that. And this is one of the example of the subscription option on a standard DaaS plan. As you can see, it only shows the term and the amount that needs to be paid off. So later on, I'll discuss you the different options that we've got, because subscription model is different from fair market value, or you can also have the option to lease the device. As you can see earlier on the subscription option, it doesn't itemize the information regarding what's the amount for the notebook or the software and the desktop or monitor as well. And then it will show you the full monthly cost for the plan that you're after, and it will show as well the itemized information on what they're getting. So let's differentiate the different models that we've got for DaaS. So you can go for the subscription option, which we would recommend, which will not show as well the breakdown of the information on hardware and software and services as well. So that could be the best option for you. However, on this model, you don't have the option to buy back the device, since technically HP owns the device. So you have the option only to upgrade it. And the next option is FMV, or fair market value, which shown on the previous quote, and it's itemized with different cost of the hardware and software. And for this one, you have the option to upgrade or return the device as well. And you have the option to buy it on case-to-case basis. We just need to review that. And lastly, if you want to go on lease to own, it's kind of similar to the FMV option, and you have the option to purchase the equipment at the end of the term or return the equipment. So criteria for a quoting, so business should be operating for 3 years, and minimum is $1,000 to qualify. So if you're new to HP Finance, we will be sending you a form, and we will register you as well, and then we'll give you some information around it soon. So if you have any question around it, just feel free to contact me or Cho. So now we've got a new tool that's coming next month, which is the Market Pro. So let's learn more about the HP Market Pro. So it's a really exciting tool. It will enable resellers to sell HP products and services with ease while maximizing business opportunity. So it's a new tool similar to the DaaS estimator tool for those of you who seen that on the HP portal. So you can customize everything. So you can just choose the device that you're after, add on the monitors and other accessories that you've got, and then add the care packs as well. And it will generate you the estimated cost on how much it will, how much will be the monthly breakdown for you. So soon we will be sending out an EDM with this link, and you could register as well. So you just need to follow the instruction around it. However, just to show you how it looks, so you just have to fill in this information. And once you've completed that, it will direct you to this page, which means that you can sign in and experience the Market Pro. So here's a snapshot on what you can see inside Market Pro as well. So this is the main page that we've got. As you can see, there are options from desktop, laptop, workstation, even printers, and tablets and thin client and workstation. So you might be wondering where the option for the accessories are. So once you choose the device that you're after, it will give you some options for accessories and services as well. Yeah. So here are some examples that we've got. So this is the quotes page. So you can save some quotes that you've created as well and name them accordingly. So, yeah. And yeah, so you can give us some feedback as well regarding Market Pro, since it's new. So we're more than happy to get some feedback from you. So here are some information on Market Pro launch. So it will be launched sometime in December. So more information will be sent out, including a tutorial on how you can start coding using this tool. And we're planning to do another webinar for this on the 9th of December. So we will provide a tutorial on that, and you can have the full experience on how Market Pro will help you quote your customers. Of course, please follow Exceed LinkedIn account for the launch on this information. And for any question, please contact me, Christine, at k10@exceed.co.nz, or Joe at jdavis@exceed.co.nz. So yeah, thank you very much, Dave, as well. Hope we can create our own story with DaaS.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. And now we haven't ended yet, because we'll have the third draw for the accessories promo, and I'll have the honor for Dave to pick the lucky winner for this draw. Just switch the screen. There we are, Dave.
There we are.
We're showing live now.
Okay.
Okay. Need to pick one lucky winner for the $1,000 worth of accessory. So congratulations. Oh,
Fantastic.
Congratulations, Fujitsu. So we'll contact you regarding the $1,000 worth of accessory that you won, and we'll keep you posted around it. So also, Dave, we will be giving away, actually I don't have it, however, I'll get us a top load, an executive top load as well.
Okay.
So you can pick one winner of this bag for today.
And that is Datacom Systems Wellington.
Oh, Datacom got a free bag. And the other one is actually this is a 12.5, however, it's the 14-inch sleeve. One more.
Datacom Systems Wellington again.
Oh, maybe we should pick another one. You're being lucky today. Zephyr Consulting, congratulations, you've won a sleeve, a 14-inch sleeve. All good. Thank you very much again, Dave, for joining us, until the 9th of December for the Market Pro webinar. See you soon, guys.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.